Hi, moms. Thanks for joining. I have a wonderful guest for us today, Ambreen Nadeem. First, the mission of Two Mom is to Love is to support, encourage, and empower each other as imperfect moms to love as a verb. Join us and subscribe, share, and follow. Welcome to our community. My amazing guest today is Ambreen Nadeem. Ambreen is a best-selling author, psychologist, and marketing research consultant. Her best-selling book is named The Algorithm of Life: The Code to Choose Your Destiny. Her book covers personal transformation and growth, mental health, and much more. In fact, her book reached #1 bestseller within 24 hours of launch. In addition, Ambreen was just recently presented with the esteemed LinkedIn Influencer Award of 2023. Ambreen is also the host of the popular podcast Psychology Talks. Ambreen, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here. I mean, it's an honor to be on your podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Ambreen, tell us a little about yourself and your mission.
Yeah, sure. I'm a psychologist, and I have this passion to actually understand human psyche, and I want to understand basically from the childhood. I have this kind of curiosity that why do humans behave the way they do, and like for example, I used to think that why we feel anger, why we feel sadness, and why, for example, some events or some like anything maybe makes me feel more angry, while the other person will take the same event at the same. So like these were the questions I usually used to think even during my childhood, and that's why I wanted to pursue my studies and my higher education in psychology. But when I actually started, when I had at the time to choose the subject of psychology during my master's, it was like everybody actually opposed me. That they wanted me to go into economics or do MBA, because they said, like, there is no career chances, or there is no proper opportunities for growth for in the field of psychology. And like I was so depressed that I'm like, this is something that I wanted to, and then like everybody was saying that it's not a good field. And then it was only my mom who actually supported me, and she said, no, if you feel really so passionate about this field, then you must follow your passion. And then I gladly listened to her, and then I pursued it. Even then, it was not an easy road actually, because of course the career choices were very limited. And when I actually moved into the, like, after finishing my studies, when I started looking for a job, it was very tough for me. But luckily uh, I got selected in like one of the most, like, biggest multinational. But again, when I was although selected there, but the position I was given was not as per my I would say abilities. And because I had the master's in psychology, and they used to prefer MBAs, so it was a very, it was like I had to do a lot of struggle. I had to prove myself at every point, because, like, I was given the position of the junior manager, whereas this was the position of the assistant manager. Like they took the interviews for me on that. And then, but within years, like, I proved myself, because, I always say that if you have the passion to do something, you will stand out no matter what. Because, I was so I wanted to prove myself, and I know that, this my studies, my, and I even when I was doing some like research or something, so I used to go extra mile to find out more insights. So, like this kind of uh passion, like when you're so much into it, only you get the motivation from within, if you are really really passionate about it. So that is what I basically did. Like within just 2 years or 3 years, I got like multiple promotions, and like within 2 3 years I was like heading like two departments, and I had like 15 people reporting to me at that point in time. So it was like, that's why I always say to everyone that, if you have a passion, just follow your passion. Don't worry about like what opportunities will come or not. If you are motivated from your inside, you will go extra mile and it will reflect in your work, and then your reflect will shine and stand out from all the rest of the crowd. So that's, I mean, I would say, like that's the beginning of my journey. And then of course I got married, and I have kids, and then of course my husband moved to Saudi Arabia. Like I am from Pakistan. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. So
Okay.
yeah, I studied there and I did my job, and then I got married there, and then my husband moved to Saudi Arabia, and then like I was enjoying my career, and of course I was almost at the peak of my career. But then when my husband moved here in Saudi Arabia, like I had to leave my career and everything there and then join him. And it was not an easy decision because like I wanted to achieve a lot. And then when I moved here, and then of course my kids were very young. And in Saudi Arabia, it was at that point in time. Now it's changed a lot, but at that point in time, it was not. There were not many opportunities for women. So although I was getting uh, like so many calls and interview calls from the different companies, but then like back there in Pakistan, like there was in my company there was the daycare along with the company. So like I was with my kids there, so the kind of facilities provided there was not here, and it was not very conducive environment for mother to actually go out and do the job. That means I had to sacrifice my family life. And at that point in time I decided that my family needs me, my kids need me, so I did not follow the corporate job. And then I decided to actually start doing like freelance work, and then I moved to the entrepreneurship. So I started doing some freelance work, and I do some marketing research. And then I have the passion to actually uh, spread knowledge and spread awareness about mental health. So I used to write a lot, of course, even in Pakistan also, I used to write a lot about mental health. And so I started writing here as well. And one
Mhm.
thing that I actually forgot to mention, that like when I was doing my master's and before that, that I had this mission to write a book.
Mm.
And at that point in time, I decided to write a book in 20 years. So,
Okay.
yeah. And that also has a story. Like, so basically, why I decided to write a book. So now going back again, like when I was in my teens, my actually dad lost a job. And at
Mm.
that point in time, we had faced a lot of financial problems, and and of course, like I was very, like I'm still very ambitious, and I want to achieve lots of goals. And but because we didn't have that kind of financial resources that we used to have when my father had a job, so I started develop a lot of depression. I thought like, this life
Mm.
is over. It's not gonna change. And in that time, at that point in time, I developed severe depression. I actually developed like suicidal thoughts. But then during that time, I realized that, suicide is not the solution, and I can change, and I can be in charge of my life, in charge of my destiny. And when I actually realized at that point in time, I thought that, world needs to hear this, that,
Mm.
and I realized that a lot of people are going through this kind of depression and this kind of mental trauma and this mental turmoil, the tension and anxiety. But they should know that they can pass through this time and they can change their destiny. And when I realized that, at that point in time, I said, I will write. But of course, at that point in time, I didn't have resources, and I was so young, like I was just teenage. And I said, of course, my knowledge was also not that much. Of course, I had the idea that how to do this, but it was not as good as I could actually write a book. So I set a target for myself that I will write the book in 20 years. And why 20 years? Because like being a woman in the Southeast Asian country, which um, women are actually more pressure to start a family and have a career, and there nobody actually gives importance to their dreams or to pursue their
Mm.
dreams. So that's what I thought, that okay, first I'll establish my career, I'll get married, I'll have kids. Once you actually satisfy all the societal norm, then I'll work on the actually my writing a book. And in the meantime, I decided that I will start working on my establishing my identity. Like, people should know that I am writing a book. So that's why I started writing articles. I started giving lectures in the university, and then it's like that's how it all started. And also started like getting knowledge from different fields, like quantum physics. Like I was and I'm still good at like astrology, palmistry, and all these things. So like everything, all the so even like in those 20 years, whatever I used to experience, I try to get it from the same lens, that how it can be written in my book. So that's like the
Mm.
entire 20 years was spread that I was working on my book, but little by little gathering all the information and collecting all the knowledge and experiences for the book. So those 20 years were actually over in like 2020, and then I started formally writing that book, and I started my journey on LinkedIn as well, or you can say this on the social media,
Mm.
and I got a very good response, especially from LinkedIn. I Insta and Facebook, I didn't get so much, but on LinkedIn, I got like amazing response from the people, and they were like really inspired by whatever like I was sharing. And then I
Mm.
started developing my personal brand through LinkedIn. And in 2022, finally, I launched the book. And as you actually said in the introduction, that like within 24 hours, it became number one in almost 8 categories.
It's
So that's just a
incredible.
brief description or
That,
my like introduction.
that's incredible. I mean, that's
Thank you.
such an inspiring story and journey, and how you have persevered through more than 2 decades, and
Yeah.
the vulnerabilities that you have, and that you're empowering others and sharing the mental health awareness. I mean, I'm so proud of everything you're doing, Abreen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was not easy. I mean, at every point, especially like, the culture I belong to, when I used to share my dream that I want to write a book. And people would say to me, are you crazy? I mean, look at you. And what you gonna do after that? Why do you think? I mean, I used to get like all kind of negative comments. So initially I started sharing my dream, but then I decided that it's better not to actually share with the wrong people. So
Mm.
I tried to do work in silence, and then it started uh, I mean, then of course, here I want to share that you need to keep changing your strategies. You don't have to do sometimes the same thing. And like for example, I used to share that I want to write book, but then I used to get really bad feedback from the people, and then they used to say that heavy criticism, that like
Mm.
like being a woman is, they used to say that you should focus on the family and the career. There's no thing. And I mean, there is no I would say there's no future for an author, and like whatnot. I could hear everything. It's like at that point, and like my English is not my first language. It's like, you don't know English. I mean, I could hear every type of comment. Just think of it.
Mm.
So, but the thing is that I did not actually let their comments diminish my spark. So it's this is very important. Of course, it really at times I did feel that I should give up and there is no point, and it seems that I was so busy with my life, with my kids, especially when there are so many pressures from society and from the family, and then I used to think, I think I cannot do it. But again, sometimes at night I decide I don't want to do it, and then when I wake up, I say, no, I think I need this. This is my purpose of life,
Mm.
and that purpose actually, gave me motivation to actually keep going, because it's
Yeah.
when, as in like the mental health, like although I talk a lot about mental health, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't affect me. I also feel depressed at times, and I also feel really negative thoughts, but then we need to realize that these thoughts are there, but at the end we are in control. We don't have to let these thoughts control us. So those negative moments, those negative thoughts, I used to just dismiss that. Okay, that's enough. I have had enough of the depression. I need to move on, and then I need to work on my purpose. And that's why it is, I always say, it is very important to have purpose, because once you have that purpose, it will actually gravitate you towards itself, and it will also keep you motivated to work in life or to keep going, because
Mm.
that's my personal experience.
That's incredible. And I'm so glad that you found that in yourself and realized and continue to go with that purpose motivating you. And oh my gosh, I just am so inspired
Thank
listening
you.
to all of this because you really just said, no, I am going to continue doing this. I'm going to continue what I feel empowered to do. And that's incredible. And all of those mental thoughts. I love that. And I know in your book you talk about that as well, where a thought is just a thought. And we can sometimes we give our thoughts too much credit. And it really, we don't need to. Like, it's almost like just saying, like, okay, I thought that, but, like, I don't have to believe the thought. Like, they aren't necessarily true. And that takes a
Yeah.
lot of practice. Like, I'm not very good at that. I mean, I feel like I'm getting better and embracing essentially like this whole growth mindset, neuroplasticity, but it's still so hard. And you're so inspiring with that because you really seem to embrace that.
Yeah, actually, you know what? The thing is that, even in my book, also, I said that these thoughts, like, we don't have to believe our thoughts. Like, whatever our mind tells us, we don't have to believe it. Because the thing is, I've also written in my book that, our mind is like these thoughts. If you just look at these thoughts, like I've decided, the first thing is that it's a form of energy, right? It
Mm.
is form of the energy created by the synapse in our, synaptic energies formed in a mind, right? And what happens is, like, basically what I've written is that these are, like, when I believe that we are soul. This is just, the physical body is just an avatar for us, and to experience this world. So basically, our soul basically stirs something in our body that creates that energy. Now, when there is a kind of, what kind of emotions and what kind of a state we feel, it stirs it, and then it creates kind of a consciousness, right? I have also explained in the book that there are, like, the kind of uh, the best is state of consciousness is the gamma consciousness, when your mind vibrates or creates a frequency, gamma frequencies, and that is when it attracts those thoughts in the state where you are able to get the positive thoughts, or you, like, for example, if you are even working on something and you need some answer, you will get that answer when you are resonating at that frequency, like the gamma
Mm.
conscious frequency, right? So this kind of things. So this is how we actually manipulate our state to get the right thought. Okay, this is just the, I mean, maybe this a bit of the high level. If we just break down into that, how in the layman's term, how we can control the thought. So in term, if we define that, our mind creates almost, 50,000 thoughts per day. So it's constantly, there is a constant chatter going on in our mind, constantly. Like, like even when you're listening to something or your mind is processing the information, there's something in your mind telling you, okay, it's good, it's not good. You're constantly interpreting the data through in your mind. But if you constantly focusing on whatever is coming in your mind, then you will go crazy, because 50,000 thoughts are too much. You need to calm
Mm-hmm.
yourself, right? And what are these 50,000 thoughts are basically, are also mostly is the negative thoughts. Why it's
Mm.
negative thoughts? Because, where even in my book I've written that our actually body or our mind is designed to protect our well-being, right? And these negative thoughts are meant to create a kind of a red flag, a warning that, if you're going to any danger zone. So this constantly, it's a kind of a warning sign that, okay, don't go in that area. You may get injured, or you may get hurt, or you, so this is how our mind basically protecting our well-being, because that's the basic function of our mind, of our brain, to protect our well-being. So for example, if you are just like just going straight in the path, and you see that there is a table in front of you, mind will say, oh, stop, 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 there is something. So this is how it's saying that if you just consider that stop means the negative sign. So this is how it's kind of thing that, this constantly saying stop, don't do this, don't do this, they are doing. And that is, it gets a bit complicated when it goes into, like, for example, when you have this feeling, maybe you feel your mind is trying to stop you or protect your well-being, that to get hurt, let's say, okay, don't say this word to them, and then it's keep constantly interpreting, oh my god, that person said this, and this has happened, and then, like, this is how this all this these things going on.
Mm.
So how to control? First of all, you need to stop the chapter. First of the mindfulness and meditation is the best technique to actually um, it, these quiet the mental chatter, because you cannot process 50,000 thoughts, or even, like, you don't want to focus on these 50,000 thoughts. You need to reduce the level, and then you need to, once you actually stop this chatter, then your mind will be at calm, and then you will be able to control the thoughts, or control that what your mind want to actually listen to. And then basically you can focus, and then basically when you stop all this chatter, you will see that, that you will go up to the level of consciousness. Like, for example, I forgot the like alpha, and then theta and beta, and all these kind of levels, that, this is how you achieve the levels. And then you can just, even like Joe Dispenza always says that, that this, the nothingness, when you achieve, like, if you can achieve that nothingness, that is the best way, like, your mind works, because then you are able to, then you, I mean, when you actually calm yourself and stop all these thoughts from your mind, then you are empowered, because then,
Mm.
like, it's just like a blank canvas, and you can write anything on it. So that's how it needs to be. So I think I'm able to explain how these thought, you can control your thoughts.
Mm. I love that. That's so powerful when you really realize that we have so much control. And I feel like sometimes that space between reaction and response is so quick that we don't even realize that it's under
Yes.
our conscious control.
Yeah.
And it takes practice. And I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like sometimes some days are easier than other days, some hours are easier than others. But at the
Yeah.
same time, the more I practice that, the more I work on it, Like kind
Yeah.
of like, I know you talk about like the mind being a muscle. It's kind of
Yeah.
similar, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like, there are techniques to do that. It's basically it doesn't happen overnight. And it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay. I mean, I always say that that's perfectly fine to feel all these emotions. It's okay to feel angry, depressed, and then because, we are humans and we are meant to feel that. The only thing is you don't have to dwell on that emotion for a long time, because then you
Mm.
said, okay, this is too much, you need to move out. And the best way is to again journal your thoughts, because I love journaling. And journaling doesn't mean that you just write everything. You need to structure it. Like the best way what I use is, for example, depends like what you want to do. But for example, if you I want to analyze the situation, so what I do is that I make like four columns of the same situation. So I write the situation. For example, I'm very much worried about or anxious about something. Let's say I have an interview tomorrow, and then I need to practice or something, and I feel very I feel anxiety. So what I will do is that I'll write down event, or the thing that is making me worried. So let's say the main thing is that I have an interview and tomorrow, and that's why I'm feeling anxiety. Okay, then what I will do is then I'll analyze the same situation, that what's happening is, what are my thoughts. Okay, and then I will just say, well, what are my, usually what happens is the same thought is coming again and again, and it seems that, okay, uh, we are having so many thoughts. It's not. It's basically thoughts are the one thought is coming, but it's coming repetitively. So it's so,
Yeah.
and that is making us like that drains our energy. And when you write it down, say, okay, so it's basically why I was being worried, because I'm afraid to, let's say, appear in that interview, right? And that is one thing that is making me, more exhausting, or it's draining my energy. And when I write down, I said, oh my God, this is only one thought that is, troubling me. Then I write down in the second column, I write down how I feel, because, these thoughts and then how I feel. When I say that, okay, I'm afraid, what am I feeling? I feel fear. That it's basically, why am I feeling fear? Then you just write down, and then it's okay, why am I feeling it? I may not be able to actually perform well, and then it's like this. And then basically, what is my actual response and what should be my response? What is my response at the moment is that, because of the thought that I am afraid, I'm feeling fearful, and my response is I'm feeling anxiety. Instead, and I see, like, these three columns are telling me what is happening. Then I realize, okay, this is my response is not right. I shouldn't feel anxiety. What I need is, I need to feel more confident, right? So what I need to do is, I write down in the third, fourth column that, this is my real response at the moment, but what I really need is, I need to be confident. And how I can do it, so I need to basically see, that's fine. I cannot change, for example, thought that I'm afraid. That's the reality. I would not say that I'm not afraid. I said, okay, yes, I am afraid. Yes, I'm feeling fearful. Now what I can change is, I can change my response. I shouldn't be just feeling fearful and sit. I need to do something to be confident. And how would I change my response? That I will start working on it. Like, I said, okay, my biggest worry is that I will not be able to perform well. So let's do something that I can perform well. So, like, if I do the research and then I do everything, and that's how I change my feeling and thoughts into constructive way, and then
Mm.
change my response to it. Because, and like, as I said, you cannot just say that, okay, don't feel fear. It doesn't happen that way. And the more you resist, the more it will persist. You said, oh my God, I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling afraid, I cannot do this, and then you will be even more miserable state than the before. So it's better that you cannot control this, then you change your response. Okay, yes, I'm feeling fear, afraid. Yes, I am having anxiety. Let's take it the different route and work upon it to feel more
Mm.
confident.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Like, and I love that. Like, I mean, so much that I'm resonating with as you're talking, and that the more you fear, the more you, or the more you resist, the more you
Yeah, that,
persist.
yeah,
That's, yeah, it really
that's,
is, because you're, it kind of reminds me, like, I'll sometimes talk about those mental highways of, like, when I am more resisting, if I'm feeling worried or frustrated and I'm resisting it, I'm making it more of a thing, and like that highway is getting stronger, as opposed to taking this some type of back road, a mental back road of, like, what can I do in the moment? How can I take action? I love that you
yeah,
have the journaling in those
yeah,
categories too, because that's kind
yeah.
of like an action in itself too.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And basically, it requires, again, practice. It doesn't happen.
yeah.
It doesn't happen in that. And what I also do is that for example, what I usually do is that I also, I'm stuck with, for example, with people, let's say, when I feel that I cannot handle them, right? Like, because there are, in my past also, I had like people who are toxic people around me, and I know that I cannot deal with them. And in that, I mean, it was the most difficult task. But the thing is that uh, when you are dealing with people, or when you are in the situation, I would say, as you said, that the response time is very quick. We just usually follow what our instinct, like, for example, if you feel the pierce of the pin, you will just say ouch. It doesn't happen. But if you actually prepare yourself that, okay, at this point in time you will have it and you don't have to shout, for example, so then maybe you can control a little. So this is how, what you need to do is you need to actually envision the situation well in advance to prepare yourself for, as I
Mm,
told you, that like when I was dealing, I used to deal with those toxic people. I know that I could not. It would be very difficult when, because you know what, the main problem, like, of the narcissist or the toxic people are that they want to uh, just say something bad to you, and they want to create some kind of reaction. And when
mm,
you don't react as per their expectation, it actually falls back on them. But it takes a lot of practice, and it takes a lot of training of your mind to not react to them, because because you are a human yourself. You can't do this. If someone is saying that, oh my god, you don't know anything, or you are so bad at that, and they're saying it or they're belittling you, or they're trying to make you just feel so bad. And of course those words does hurt. But in that situation, to control yourself not to react requires a lot of patience and a lot of training. And in that case also, journaling helps a lot. You just need to envision that, okay, this is gonna happen, this is that person gonna tell me this thing, and if this thing's gonna happen, what am I gonna do? Then I used to write everything, that okay, this is how I should actually respond to that person. Not, it doesn't happen overnight, like, of course it was, that person used to tell me, I felt bad, and I did respond in the same way that that person wanted me. But then I said, okay, no, it was bad. It created some, friction. And then that's how, when you need to train your brain to, react in that way. And journaling helps a lot in that. But again, as I said, that journaling doesn't mean that you just write down everything. You need to have kind of, a strategy. Like, for example, if you're dealing with any situation with people, you are seeing things, visualizing, or creating some scenarios and writing your responses and everything like that. But when you are dealing with the analyzing the situation, it would be a different strategy.
mm. Yes, I love all of that. And the whole reaction that you were saying, oh my gosh, I can relate so much to that. I think so
Yeah,
many of us can.
yeah.
It reminds me, and I don't remember the exact title, but it's Dr. Amit Sood, the Mayo Clinic Guide to Happiness, or something
Mhm.
like that. And he had said he compared like a reaction to poison ivy. So,
Uh,
like, it's not the plant itself, it's the reaction that kind of causes those like icky feelings or whatever that is. But it's just, it takes that practice and that, okay, that, yeah, people that are doing or saying something or doing something, they want that reaction. But if I don't give them that reaction,
yeah.
that's so powerful.
Yeah, and same thing also applies to kids as well.
Yeah.
I would just say that they are, it takes a lot of patience to raise kids
Mm,
because they are maybe crying, they're annoying, and like not all the time we are at the best. But then we need to sometimes need patience that, what to do and how to deal with them. And in that
yeah.
situation, again, journaling requires.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna start journaling now on that. I think that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And I love how you talk about confidence. And I
yeah,
think that is such a struggle for many of us. I know for me, it has been really like all my life. And one time I think I was more free writing. I don't know if I was necessarily um I don't remember at what point in time I was writing about confidence and like how can I get more confidence. And I decided to look up, what is the etymology of the word confidence. I kind of like that, like looking into like how were words developed, where did they come from. And confidence essentially means to trust. And it comes from the word
yes.
to trust. And I think that's incredible when you think about
Wow.
it, because it's
Yeah,
trusting yourself, like being
yes.
able to step into yourself, say, I am enough and I am going to trust myself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, you explained so beautifully. This is just like trusting ourselves is actually what, again, I would just refer to my book, basically just say that believing in yourself. It's basically the first
Mm,
step. And when you do that, that's the best thing one can do it to themselves. I mean, that's the one gift that one should actually give to themselves, that believe in yourself. Because when we do that, I feel that that aligns our mind, body, and soul, because that is exactly, that means we are embracing ourselves. It's okay. That is me. That is what we are. And that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. That's me. That's it. I'm believing in myself. And that's how we are stepping into our own self. Like, and that's I feel when I see myself, I see that like all three parts like coming together, look, mind, body, and soul. Then they start working in the same direction. You know that, okay, this is the path I want to take. And then because your mind is also saying the same thing, your body is saying the same thing, and your soul is also saying the same thing. You believe exactly what to do.
oh, that's incredible and so beautiful, Ambreen.
Thank you.
I absolutely. I want to give you the opportunity to, as we wrap up here, like,
Yeah.
I want to make sure our listeners know where to find you, where they can access your book, and what social media platforms, because you have so much incredible information. And I want to make
Thank
sure
you.
that everyone can access that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm mostly most active on LinkedIn, and they can actually send me a DM or anything. And I do have a website, thepsychologytalks.com, where I have like the links to all my social media. I'm also like on Twitter, Insta, and Facebook, yeah, and YouTube. So like almost everywhere. But I
Mm.
also have like my podcast channels, like all these things. So these are the. I mean, they can contact me from any social media, but mostly I'm active on LinkedIn, and my book is available on Amazon, so they can just get it from there. And
Mm.
just I think that these are the things they can actually find.
That's great. I'll put all of that in our show notes.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. Thank you. And Ambreen, uh, is there anything that you'd like to leave with our listeners as kind of like a final thought to go about their days?
Yeah, I mean the this is a very actually good question, because the final I always say that they need to believe in themselves. I mean, serious, as actually I just said it, that because that is when you align yourself. And even uh, if someone actually tells you about you, that you can't do it or you're no good, so I would just say that maybe listen to them, find out that maybe they have something to it, but always believe in yourself that okay, you are good enough. Whatever they are saying, it's their perception, but what you believe about yourself makes your reality. So don't ever let anyone else opinion make your reality. Like, people may tell you that you are bad, you're ugly, you don't know anything, but it's not your reality. It will become your reality if you start believing in them. So don't believe whatever you hear from the people. Always believe in yourself, because God has created every human being in the most beautiful way, and God has given you the most like unique talent. You need to find your talent and believe in yourself. That's one thing. And that's why I said don't listen to people that whatever they're saying in a way that it should affect you. Just listen to them, that as a maybe there could be the hint to actually give you some thought to think about it, but don't make their opinion your reality. Find out yourself, believe in yourself, and always follow your dreams.
That's so powerful.
Thank you.
It's incredible. I just feel so like my cup is full listening to you.
Thank
And
you.
yes, and feel so inspired to go about my day. And I love it all, Ambreen. Thank you so much for your time and for empowering all of us listeners.
Thank you so much for giving me opportunity to share all the knowledge with your audience. I'm sure they learned from me, and they will apply all this knowledge in their life so they can actually change their life in a positive way.
Mm, thank you. Well, have
Thank
a
you.
good rest of your day. And I hope everyone has a beautiful day. And remember that you are enough.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.